My name is Lucy Andrews. I work in sculpture and I also make site-specific installations. My work concerns the flow of matter between what we might class as natural and human-made systems. So I'm dealing with the ubiquitous stuff of the world that we come into physical contact with. My raw material might be a pile of dust, a manufactured timber object, or a plumbing system. I visited Dunree once before in 2011 to take part in a group exhibition, and I'm really happy to now be invited to come back again for a longer time. To me, it's a very interesting site because everything about this place is so extreme. The landscape, the weather, obviously there are massive weapons everywhere, and then there are also these apocalyptic ruins of the barracks, which seem to me like a microcosm of all the other things combined. I've now been here for about 2 weeks. My initial approach has been to spend a lot of time walking around this part of the site, exploring all its strange corners and sort of digging around, gathering materials and trying to piece it all together. It's really exciting to have access to this huge wild place in which to work and to explore some ideas that wouldn't necessarily come about from sitting at a desk or inside a more traditional studio setup. I like the feeling of these broken military buildings, which is like being at once inside and outside. And there's something about that porosity that really resonates with me. I always like to involve making into my thinking process. Obviously I'm here for quite a short time and it's not feasible to bring a whole lot of materials. So the challenge for me is to find some way of using what's already here in a sense. These buildings were once designed to be uniform, but they've all deformed in different ways to become very specific entities, a bit like carcasses. One of them's collapsed on the ground, one is burnt down, and another one is colonised by plant life. And actually these buildings haven't been unoccupied very long, so there's kind of a sense of time moving very quickly here, and of things visibly descending into chaos, or growing into something more interesting, whichever way you want to look at it. Also, I think the thing about doing a residency like this is that the things you discover can stay with you and perhaps inform your thinking at a future time. So it's important to be open to that. Since I've been here, I've hosted an event for some local artists in the Artlink studio, and I've also been out to Derry to visit some artists there. So my experience has been a combination of being alone in the wilderness interspersed with meeting new people. I'm interested in these points where the architectural structures collapse into something more chaotic or vital. So here you could see it as finding a chink in the armour of the fort, a point of vulnerability. So these objects I've been making result from an act of displacement. What I'm doing is to very simply peel away part of the fabric of the site to form these membranes. I started off making them on the ground, and now I'm using a fireplace which is covered in mould and a damp wall that's become cracked. So it's like the place is shedding a skin. The material I'm using is builder's silicone, which is something that's meant to act as a barrier to protect buildings from degradation. They might seem initially like images, but in fact they have two sides, so you're looking at the back of a surface. So it's a literal abstraction as opposed to a representation. Some of them also have the quality of maps, which they are in a way, in the sense of mapping these very small ecologies and processes. I've always been interested in the idea of dirt as a sort of undefined matter, something that forms the frontier between what's human and what's not, and between the organic and inorganic. So these impurities like dirt, dust, bits of paint are like part of a whole that's fallen away and can now become part of something else, and that's something that's quite poetic to me.